you're just starting out 2xq, you might notice that there's just some moves in this game that seem a lot better than others. But oftentimes, a lot of these moves that seem really strong have some counters that may seem obvious or may not be very obvious, and we're going to try to cover the most important move counters to know in 2xq. At least one for each character. Sometimes we'll have some additional information because there's a lot of things to know, but we're going to try to cover the most important stuff in this video. And we'll start with two characters that I personally have pain points with, Ekko and Darius. In particular, Ekko's S1 super, very, very strong at all levels of play. The idea is that the super kind of has this like boomerang effect, so it'll come back and you're left completely safe and full screen. And if it ever hits, Ekko gets a full combo. So Ekko players love just throwing it out. If they just do it in neutral like this, is actually fake. You can actually just jump the super. Sometimes you might have to do a dash jump. You get a full combo for being able to punish it. So anytime they do it when they're not in the block string, this is guaranteed. Don't gotta go parry. All you have to do is hold up or maybe like dash and then hold up forward. And the punish is guaranteed. And pretty much every character should do. So even someone like Illaoi, a little bit slower, you can do dash, jump, and you have a lot more time than you might think. A lot of times good Ekko players, they'll do a string that looks like this. S1, S1, into rising up, right? So this, I cannot jump this, right? This is actually what we call true block string. All you have to do though, is if you just sit still, it's actually your turn. Ekko does this string. And then they try to mash after, like they try to mash this jab after. If you just do a reversal throw, you can actually interrupt and, so basically it's your turn. You shouldn't let them like continue pressure after. And technically that's -3 in the new patch instead of -1, which is really good. Doesn't it push you back? Yeah, so if you're in the corner, you just gotta hold this. I mean, it's like, let's say you're mid-screen, but that's fine. You can retreating guard, get some meter, get some space. It's actually not too bad. The other thing is if they autopilot this string, you can also parry. There's a gap between the S2 into second S2, right? So you can actually react this. It's a pretty fast react, but you just see him like disappear. And you can interrupt as well. So this move actually has a lot of counterplay, and it's kind of the cornerstone of Ekko, I guess they call it Ekko offense. So make sure you learn how to beat it. All right, let's talk about Darius. So if you've ever played this game at low ranks, you're probably familiar with something like this. And this just seems really overwhelming as a new player. So this is Darius's S1. It's called Apprehend. And the idea is that if you are forced to block this, you have to take a mix-up. You have to take a mix-up between the overhead version, which is this move here, and the command grab, which will beat the blocking, right? The easiest catch-all solution is you can actually parry the S1 on reaction. So it's 28 frames, which means it's about half a second reaction time. You see him wind back, get the parry, go for a full punch, right? Easier said than done sometimes, right? Sometimes like people are really good at sneaking it in. They'll do strings like this. So let's say you happen to block it. What are your options? Let's talk about what you shouldn't do. You should not just crouch block after this, because both moves that Darius has, the overhead and the command grab, they both beat crouch. Like right? You're just gonna get hit if you're just crouching. The command grab beats the crouch and the overhead beats the crouch. So whatever you do, don't crouch block. That's a really bad option. If you're gonna guess the overhead, you can just go for a parry, right? And that way, instead of just blocking the overhead, and you're left like, I mean, you're left +2, but you don't really get any reward for blocking it, right? So this way, at least if you guess right on the overhead, you get a full punish, which is really, really nice. You can also just jump the command grab. But yes, there's other ways to beat the command grab, like mash jab. You can't actually mash jab against this, but sometimes it's hard to time. You see, I actually lost there. But jumping the grab will let you get a full punch. So if you're gonna make the read and jump this, either jump up or jump forward, right? So that way, like, if you're gonna take the risk to jump, you make him pay for like putting you in that situation. A couple other random Darius tidbits. This move here, you can react to this follow-up. It's really hard, but you can parry this. Another really good thing to do against the string is just like retreating guard. And at least that way you're getting like a little bit of space and a little bit extra meter. All right, so let's talk about Blitzcrank. I think the #1 pain point people have about Blitzcrank is doing this into either command grab or doing this into an attack, right? So I'll let you in on a little secret about Blitzcrank. So even though this move is plus, it's +4 on block. The best way Blitzcrank has to stop you from jumping is pressing jab. For whatever reason, this jab actually has a hard time punishing up back. So for example, if I try to up back here, I get hit because he hit me in my start of the pre-jump frame, right? But let's try this again. This will happen a lot. And it's because for whatever reason, it's really hard to time that 5L to beat a jump. So I actually think if you ever block this move in neutral, don't be afraid to just hold up back, because it's actually really tricky for the Blitz player to get this timing. And the reason it's tricky is because based on the distance that the pull and grab has, as it basically has a different timing for the Blitz player. The best Blitz players are going to get this, but the vast majority of Blitz players aren't. So like when I play a Blitz player, the first thing I do is I check them and I see, all right, can I up back out of this, out of their 5L? Because it's a lot harder than you think. The second thing is this move is jumpable on reaction. And unlike a lot of moves in this game, if you try to jump something on reaction, you'll just get hit. You see how this is just like phasing through my attack? And so you can actually, if you're really cracked, jump forward on reaction to this and get a punch. Of course, like he can do the air grab, and that's why I don't recommend like trying to parry this, because like you whiff a parry and then you don't even die for that. But yes, he can call this out, but like it's not the worst situation. And if he's just whiffing like up grabs, that means you can just wait for him to whiff, and then you know he's gonna have a really bad time. So RPS generally is not in his favor, just like whiffing random hooks. The other thing he can do is he can like do this. He can like fake the startup. He can just press S1 and then backdash. But even that, like, you know, he has a really hard time punishing the jump if you do that, right? The other thing you can do against this, if this is blocked, so obviously jump back is like a really good option, because even if they, let's say they do this, like on up back, you can still get a punch. Depends on the character. But like I can react to the whiff command grab, press S1, or like call my assist and get a punish on this grab. Even that was a punch, right? So unlike Darius's grab, this is a little laggier and you have more time to punish it, right? The other thing you can do, again, if you know this jab is coming, and they've shown that you can that they can like stop you from jumping back by pressing jab, you can always just press parry, right? Yeah, you get the idea. First of all, don't get hooked in the first place. It's scary, right? The further RU out, like you can jump it and make him pay. And if you ever do have to block, up back is the best option. The other thing about Blitz's assist is, for whatever reason, I did this intentionally. If you ever block the assist, you can actually just press retreating guard and he won't pull you in. This doesn't work if Blitz is on point, but if Blitz is the assist, you actually can't get out of this move. So I recommend doing retreating guard most of the time. A good opponent can't stop. Like if they have like a really fast partner, they can run up, clip you low. But this is actually really nice. You just back away and then, you know, start your pressure from there. All right, so let's talk about Braum. He has this move, back S2. This move's, in my opinion, Braum's best move. It has infinite armor, and it's kind of hard to beat. And you can call assist behind it, and it's really annoying to deal with, right? So depending on the assist, sometimes you can smack him out. It looks like Blitzcrank assist, you're not gonna smack him out of this, right? So the last thing you want to do is run up and press the button anytime you see the shield, right? The goal is to make him commit to the shield, cover of your own assist, and then go in for a grab, right? You can also, if you predict it's coming, you can just run up and grab him before he comes out, right? The other way you can play around it is just by not engaging. For example, I'm playing Braum Blitzcrank, and I make this assist whiff. Now you have to play Braum in neutral without an assist for like 4 seconds, and then you can just go in during that time period and then mix his shit, right? So a lot of times when you're playing against a shield, the goal is to make them commit their assist and back away, and then you have all the screen space to work with, and you have your own assist to punish his lack of assist. Because if you're just doing shield into nothing, it's really bad. You can just run up like I'm just doing this. All right, like have fun, bro. You're like the shield's not gonna help you out if you don't have an assist, right? The idea is you can throw it, but it's better just to disengage from Braum, wait for the assist to be on cooldown, and then go in. All right, let's talk about Jinx. Let me talk about a couple of scrubby things Jinx has real quick. This dive kick, this is really, really fake. But anytime you block this, just mash 2H. Don't let her get away with this. Dive kick is not nearly as good as you think. Obviously, if they have assist, they can cover it. But really what I want to talk about is this move. This move probably seems really, really good if you're new to the game. You just have to back away. It's fully invincible. You just gets a ton of chip. You actually have a very easy answer. Once you see the flash, mash dash forward. And then you get whatever punish you want, right? So it's actually kind of a gimmick if they're just using it in neutral. You might be wondering, what do I do if they do it in the corner? If I just mash that forward dash, you get cooked. So is this just the best reversal in the game with forward dash? Well, actually, if you're like, if as long as you're spaced out like a little bit around here, you can back up, get the throw before the explosion hits you. You have to go for something like throw or super. Yeah, I'm just gonna get popped up like that, right? So generally, throw is a little better. Like, even if you're completely in the corner, you're gonna get smacked, right? Like you're like super in the corner, doesn't matter, right? Oh, so you could triple parry in the throw. That's kind of crazy. Oh, I guess you can do that. That's kind of cool. But basically, if you're point blank in the corner, you might just have to hold that unless you're cracked. I think you can also like level 3 in the gap. Let me actually check. Yeah, so you can do something like that. So if you do have level 3, you can interrupt in between the first part where the rocket comes down. You can throw or after block. Oh yeah, you can do that. That's cool. All right, so that's probably way better than a triple parry. The TLDR I'm taking away from this is if you're point blank, you can block, you can dash, then block, then throw. And if you're really far away, you can dash before the flash, then you can dash and still get the throw. Or actually, I might be able to get punched there too. All right, so Yasuo, maybe we'll just talk about how to mitigate his mix, right? So the thing that Yasuo can do is basically after any like heavy, he can either do this cross up move, he can do this like little hop move, which is he can be a double overhead, or it can be like this like little like empty jump low, right? So it's really tricky to block. Or it can just do something like this, Hasagi, and then dash forward. Defending against this is very, very hard. I'm gonna keep it real. Let me show you some of the ideas I have about this, right? So let's set a recording. Recording 1 will be Yasuo doing this. Recording 2 will be Yasuo doing this. And recording 3, right? So recording 3 will be just Yasuo going in. Now we can set the dummy to random playback, and we could try to block it all. So what you really want to do is you want to not press anything if they dash forward, 2H if they hop, and if they go for the cross up, you want to actually parry it. And you can see this is actually doable, but it does take a little bit of practice, and I still screw it up sometimes. There's a lot of different other options they can do, but you actually, what Illaoi Yasuo's will do is they'll go into Hasagi, right? His S1, and then they'll try a very similar mix-up. But the thing is, you can't actually do the cross-up slash after Hasagi. You can do the other options, but you can't do the cross-up slash. So a very good option against this is actually just to mash after Hasagi or just jump forward. And the reason this is good is that it beats a lot of different options that Yasuo can do. And if I try to go for like a reset and pressure, I just get out. And the other thing you can do, like let's say they're doing this to beat your mash, which actually mashing isn't even that bad of an option because like this is all he really gets, right? He just gets one hit unless he has an assist or something. You can also punish that. And like, yes, there's RPS, right? Like Yasuo can like wait, he can like wait and then do this like up slash and continue the pressure, but you want to be pretty active on defense against Yasuo, especially when he doesn't have assist. And when he has assist, push block, just like any other character, is your friend on defense. So short answer gets blocking against Yasuo. Try to block what you can and react with parry or anti-air. And don't be afraid to like try to jump out or mash on his strings when he doesn't have assist. All right, so I guess it's time I give the secrets to being my team. We'll start with Vi. So I think the number one pain point people have with Vi is she starts doing this shit, right? What am I supposed to do against that, right? So you have a few options. One, push block is actually really effective against Vi. So if you push block before she goes into the sway, she's actually full punishable. But see, if you push block the right timing, you can actually stop the sway from happening and get a full combo. Now, once she's in the sway, the only way she has to stop you from mashing here is she could do a delay medium, right? And even that's like really hard to time. So if she ever goes into like an uncharged move into an electric, there's a huge gap that you can just mash a button on, right? And if she ever goes for like a throw here, again, push block is the best way to call this out because he'll just whiff throw and he dies. So basically, push block is your best friend against Vi. It beats a lot of like her common strings. And if she ever commits to this light, mashing is really good. The only way, again, the only way she can beat this is like a slight delay, which is like really hard to confirm off of. And you don't really get much damage unless you have an assist. Don't be afraid to mash. The other thing you can do is you can just wait for the electric to come out. This is 32 frames, which means once you see her like start to charge up, you can just go for a parry, get a full combo, right? And if she does the early version to try a frame trap, your parry just doesn't come out, so you're safe. Fun fact about this character, if she ever does this move too, this move looks really scary. It's safe on block, but you can just parry the gap and get a full punch as well. So don't let Vise get away with that either. Illaoi, I'm not sure what to talk about. This character has some gimmicks, but this Air S2, this is safe on block, which seems ridiculous because it's so good at crossing up. However, see how that just whiffs? If you retreating guard the first hit, the tentacle will whiff, and then you get a full punch. There we go. That's the punch. Another thing, if any Illaoi player does something like this sequence looks really good, right? You're doing tentacle into this tentacle slap. You can just hit her out of it, right? And that's what you should do anyways because she is minus after the ground tentacle. Same thing with like this sequence here where she'll charge the tentacle full screen and then do the tentacle hit. You can do something like this. Jab to hit the tentacle out. You get the idea. Try to destroy the tentacle anytime it's on you. And if you really want to call this out, oh, you actually can punish it. Wait, you're plus 27. Maybe you can super. Oh yeah, super. You technically can't parry, maybe punish. 5 privilege, I guess. Not sure too many characters can do that one. But what I actually want to talk about with Illaoi is how good push block is at dealing with this situation here. So you run up, you're probably familiar with this kind of thing, right? Like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. So against most Illaois, you can just push block the second tentacle, do a very quick move to beat the tentacles, and then tag. Now, this only works if they don't have assist, but generally, the way Illaoi is played, they're not going to have assist anyways, right? So make sure you're push blocking the tentacles if they don't have assist. It's really strong, and there's ways to call it out, but they're really risky for Illaoi. I wasn't sure what to talk about with Ahri, to be honest, but I'll just talk about this basic block string here, where Ahri does something like this. So one thing is like this string seems really good, and like you can't mash it at any point, and it converts into super. So the tricky thing about the string is you can do S1, S1, and then cancel the second S1 into a lot of other things. But the thing is, this move is a lot easier to parry than you might think. And that's because anytime she hops in the air after you're doing the first fireball, she's committed to doing the second fireball. So you don't actually need to react to the fireball coming out here. You just need to react to her going up in the air. And once she commits to going up in the air, you can get a parry and then stop a lot of the other options she can do. I see her go up into the air. I jump, press the button to interrupt her, right? And let's say I am covering with assist. Like you can use the parry flash to like just react to the assist. Or if you're like really cracked, you know, you can do something like that. But the idea is you see her go up into the air, you parry, because it's basically guaranteed. There's nothing she can do to really bait it out. The other counterplay of Ahri I see, this move here, this move's a lot slower than you think. And you can 2H this on reaction. And a lot of times against Ahri, you don't want to throw tech because this move leads into so much damage. She doesn't really get that much damage off throw unless you're playing with someone like Vi, someone that can like convert off her forward throw, right? So what I do like to do against on defense against Ahri is I like to play more patient, and I like to look out specifically for this move and go for the parry. Or if you don't have beater, you can like 2H it and just kind of like look for that little wind up, and you can do it a lot later than you think. The only other thing I'd say against Ahri is this move here. Like, let's say an Ahri player is doing this. Like that move, that looks really scary. She's actually in free fall as you block this little like Ahri Psycho Crusher. I don't know what you want to call it. But anytime you see that, just going for the punish. It means they screw up a hit confirm or something. All right, and that's it for the guide. Well, until Teemo comes out in like 12 hours, so we will record. Let's record the Teemo part. I'll just change shirts in the random in the middle of my recordings and get y'all on day 2. All right, boys. Teemo and Warwick are finally out. Actually, it's been a couple days, and we've been labbing, and I want to share what I found on how to counter Warwick and Teemo too. We'll start with Teemo because I think he's the more annoying champ, and there's a couple moves that I think are more annoying than most. In particular, this S2 super. I think it's pretty good. The idea is it just stays on screen, it explodes. Teemo can also like shovel it and walk behind it. Really annoying. So what can you do against this? Well, it's actually not as real as you think. If he's not protecting it or he's not doing it like full screen, it's not really that real, right? So for example, a Vi can do sway. He's able to block there, but if I do it immediately, I can sway past. That's a punish, and you get a full combo. Or some characters can just run up and throw them. You see that says punish. Some characters can also just super on reaction. Sometimes the super trades, but the super trade is going to be in your favor. Let's see if I do it immediately. Oh no, it looks like I still get hit. But even like someone slow like Illaoi, you might not be able to run up and smack him, but you can run up and throw. And that's a guaranteed punish. And if you have a tentacle out, that's going to be a lot of damage. So run up throw, obviously really strong. There's some characters can just level 1 or level 3. Darius is a big example where he can just do his S2 on reaction to the super. So for example, even if you're at like this range, headless, and even though it's still out, he takes a lot of damage just for attempting it, right? And this works probably like 3-4 screen. Does it work from here? You can probably do like dash headless too. Yeah. This is a strong option, but Teemo does have to cover it, right? And if he does get it on screen, one of the best things you can do is you can actually just like jump over it and it'll force the explosion. It'll force the explosion anyways. Or you can like send your assist in and be like, all right, Illaoi, go. Sacrifice her for the greater good, and then you don't have to deal with the super. So it is strong, but there's a bunch of different ways to counterplay it. All right, second thing, how do you deal with Teemo throwing shooms? This is pretty annoying. Again, you can also headless or do some type of like move on reaction. That's kind of hard, to be honest. Like you don't have a giant super flash to call this out. Some characters can just like, well, basically every character can run up and smack the shrooms, but it is a little harder. So you have to be pretty good at the timing. Generally, like a crouch normal works the best. If you try a stand normal, the stand normal might just whiff and then you get hit. Some characters have better options than others. So Illaoi, for example, can just do S1. But the idea is you want to hit the shrooms. You don't really want to like just jump into the shrooms because then Teemo just gets a free mix up and free damage and a bunch of like shroom stocks. So the idea is you want to try to hit them like this. The other cool thing you can do is like if your character has some type of forward advancing move, you can like cancel a button into the forward advancing move and then hit Teemo out of whatever he's going to do next. Like this, cover of assist, and then get a full combo. But yeah, Definitely has counterplay, but this is very character specific counterplay. But the idea is hit the shrooms with something that hits low, and don't just jump into the shrooms, because that's kind of what Teemo wants. All right, so let's talk about this Warwick champ. Strongest thing about him, I believe, is his mix-up. The fact that he can do this overhead that's virtually unseeable, or he can go into a low that's also unseeable, which means that you have to guess when you fight the character. The first advice is use push block a lot against him, because his stuff is generally weak to push block. You know, his neutral isn't super amazing, so you can kind of force him back to neutral where you might outrange him, and then you can get a mix up, right? So push block's really important, but of course you don't always have push block. The issue is his mix up is very hard to block against, but if you block against it, you need to make sure that you're rewarded. Both this overhead move, most characters can only punish with a throw, but if you have a 6-frame normal, which Darius and Illaoi do not have, but like a character like Ekko, they can actually punish with a jab into a full combo. The other thing that's also punishable, a lot of characters have these like lows that they beat retreating guard. Retreating guard's obviously strong against Warwick because a lot of his kit is standing, but this is really good. However, this is also punishable. This is -11, which means every character in the game can do something like medium. Actually, Darius can't do medium, but he can do a light. Has less block stun than you might think, and you get a combo. Make sure that if you are stuck on defense against Warwick, you are pressing the buttons, punishing his stuff if he commits to that mix-up. Other thing, this is obviously really strong, but if you 2H fast enough, it does beat some of the options, right? So try to keep him out of the air. The other thing you could try is just like preemptive air-to-air against them. So like if you're just like spamming neutral jump, and like you have a really like disjointed normal, like you'll just hit him out of any different follow-up he does. So I think like kind of playing this like just trying to box him out with like jump normals, I think can be like pretty strong against Warwick as well. And he is in counters hit state when he goes into these follow-ups, which means you get a nice combo after. Let me know if you guys have any additional tips. There's obviously so much to fight in these characters, and I really just wanted to boil down to probably the most complained about moves. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that's really strong in this game. This is just touching the surface. So if you want to see more, I guess like, share, subscribe, maybe let me know down in the comments below what you want me to cover. I'll catch you on the next one.